Finally on the town hall tonight, we want to spend some more quality time talking about perhaps one of the best gifts that Bills fans got this Christmas, a win over the Patriots in Foxborough. The Bills came away with a 33-21 win yesterday afternoon to both avenge their loss to New England a few weeks ago in the Wind and to take control of the division lead. Buffalo now controlling its own destiny here and can win the AFC East if it wins its last two games, and that would mean a home playoff game at Highmark Stadium in front of a full crowd, unlike the capacity restricted crowd that was there for the two home playoff games last season. So joining us now to talk live about it, Bills insider Vic Carucci. You can also catch him on Sirius XM Radio and right here tonight on Channel 2 for Sports Talk Live at 7:30. And Vic, we previewed the game with you Friday, so it's only fair to have you back to talk about this win. Thanks for being here.
Sure. Always a pleasure, Kate.
We want to start with Josh Allen. He had a fantastic game, throwing for 314 yards, 3 touchdowns, while also rushing for 64 yards. And, you know, he was snubbed from getting named to the Pro Bowl, but a performance like this shows why he can be an MVP candidate when he really is at his best.
No question. You know, this was such a determined Buffalo Bills team from that Monday night loss. The embarrassment of that, the humiliation, the fury, the anger, all that it produced for this team. And Josh Allen really was the face and the embodiment of this determination, of this gutsy effort that they brought to Foxborough, Mass yesterday. And look, I've seen this team play for a long time, and I've watched them at different points at their highest levels when they've gotten to Super Bowls and so forth. But I will say, I don't think it's an overstatement. I don't think I'm being, you know, sort of a prisoner of the moment to say that this was, for the first time in a long time, the kind of game that you will think about for a long time. That, you know, there was really their season on the line, and they rose to the occasion, but nobody rose more than Josh Allen.
And when we talked on Friday, going in, there were some big questions for the Bills. You know, missing wide receivers Cole Beasley and Gabe Davis, among others, on the COVID list. But that wide receiver position especially was where the Bills ended up showing off their depth yesterday as the Patriots were introduced to a guy named Isaiah McKenzie all afternoon.
Yeah, the same Isaiah McKenzie who was inactive for the previous game against New England because he wasn't being trusted to field the punts or kickoffs in that incredible gale force wind activity that we had that night. So sure, this was a statement for him to step in there for Cole Beasley effectively and play the way he did. Showed his athleticism. Once again, a guy who wanted to prove something, and he played that way. And Josh Allen got the most out of him as well. So it tied in together. And the Patriots, frankly, they, at least judging by what they said today to the media, they weren't ready for what Isaiah McKenzie brought.
Yeah, there seems to be a little bit of a shift because in several games this season, head coach Sean McDermott has drawn criticism for being a little too conservative and settling for field goals or punting on 4th and short. But he was aggressive right from the start yesterday, successfully going for it on 4th down several times, leading to touchdowns. What do you make of McDermott and his staff's game plan yesterday?
Yeah, if you talk to the analytics folks, that's how we describe those who are into all the numbers and the crunching of numbers for football. And there's a lot of them out there. Going for it on 4th down is the thing to do almost all the time. And when McDermott didn't do that in the second half against Tampa Bay, that, you know, were leading to what became a remarkable comeback to tie the game, force overtime, he drew a lot of criticism for that. Oh, too conservative, defensive-minded coach. But against the Patriots, he went for it, and he went for it, and he went for it, and he trusted Josh Allen and his offense, rightfully so, because they were dialed in. So everything they were doing, and frankly, you don't see this very often, the Bill Belichick defense was befuddled, and the Bills offense, Brian Daboll, Josh Allen, got the better of it.
Quickly, Vic, we have just under a minute left here, but we know that this win puts the Bills on top of the division where they can stay with 2 more wins no matter what happens with other teams. But there are other scenarios where they could lose a game and still be at least a wild card team. So what is realistic for the seeding here as nearly the whole AFC playoff picture is kind of up for grabs here?
I think winning these next two is the realistic scenario. I think they win the division. The question is, where will they be seated? Looks like Kansas City or Tennessee ends up with possibly those top two spots. I think it's realistic to see Buffalo maybe in that third seed, and that could set up, Kate, another game against the Patriots in the playoffs. Just saying.
Well, we love that you chatted with us. We know you're talking more about this on Sports Talk Live tonight, so we'll see you then, Vic. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Kate.
And thanks, everybody, for joining us. Here's the text line number, 716-849-2220, so you can get in touch with your questions or comments. Channel 2 News at 6 with Kelly Dudzik is next.